Ah! Loot Rascals by Hollow Pawns is a turn-based, loot-based roguelike. You're sent to a planet to investigate the disappearance of a big berry unit, not that the story matters much. Gameplay consists of exploration, combat, and equipping loot. You explore a series of randomly generated maps to find teleporters leading to the next area. As you uncover each level, you'll have to fight enemies, avoid traps, and pick up the all-important loot. Everything is turn-based. Enemies take turns every time you move. When you collide with one of them, combat begins. Combat is automated, but there's one important way you can gain an advantage. Every 5 turns, the world shifts from day to night, and vice versa. Every enemy type has a preference. Some will attack first during the day, others during the night. Since an enemy's HP is also its attack, getting the first hit on them will also reduce the damage their counterattack will do. You start with only 5 HP, so avoiding damage by fighting the right baddie at the right time is crucial for your survival. Once combat starts, you and your opponent hit each other until one of you is dead. Your attack power is subtracted from the monster's strength, while its strength is divided by your defense before dealing damage to you. If your defense is higher than its strength, there's a chance you block damage altogether. The higher your defense, the better the chance. If you have any special abilities, you can use them in battle. More on those later. Despite combat being half the game, there really isn't anything to it, but that is very much intentional. Instead of employing some form of skill-based battle system, Loot Rascals plays like a bizarre game of chess where every move needs to be well thought out to avoid getting cornered by first-hit happy hooligans, or the occasional ultra-tough elite variants. Despite the game's quirky, almost cute aesthetic, it does not mess around and will not hesitate to gruesomely murder the careless and unprepared. The most important part of Loot Rascals is the unique loot system. Loot, of course, being gained from defeating enemies and exploring the world. You can equip a total of 10 cards across 2 rows to increase your attack or defense, and to gain new abilities or modify existing ones. The twist here is that many cards have specific modifiers that depend on which slot the cards are in. Some will be more potent when equipped to the top row or in an even-numbered slot. Others might instead increase the power of the card to their right. Occasionally, you'll find more powerful equipment with negative modifiers, like decreasing in power when in a certain column or lowering the value of an adjacent card. However, you can always avoid the card's negative effects by catering to its requirements. Instead of just equipping yourself with the best stuff, you'll have to maximize effectiveness by placing each card in the right spot. I found this easy-to-learn system incredibly fun to play around with. Squeezing a few more points out of your gear with the right placement and combination turns min-maxing into Loot Rascals' core gameplay. That's not all, though. Certain enemies drop overlay cards. You can attach them to equipped gear to gain new active abilities, like shooting lightning, creating decoys, or teleporting. These skills are incredibly powerful, with different elemental attacks being especially effective against specific enemies. Each skill is on a cooldown that gradually ticks down as you move and fight monsters. What I like about this skill system is the fact that even an apparent no-brainer like equipping active abilities requires you to commit to your choice. Of course, it makes sense to attach the overlays to your best cards, since those won't become obsolete as quickly. You'll have to choose between replacing that equipment and keeping the low-level gear to keep using its attached skill. On top of that, there's a particularly cheeky enemy type that will steal gear it deems valuable. Attaching a skill to your highest tier card will make that card a very tempting target, leaving you weakened and without the attached ability. And that's not all Loot Rascals does with loot. Any unwanted cards can be scrapped for 1 token each. These are needed to refill your health and to use some special card effects. This adds 1 extra layer of choice to the loot system, and the more choices you get to make in a game like this, the better. And we're still not done. Every level has 1 side quest that always consists of finding 1 specific rare card by defeating a named monster. You can then choose to complete the quest by trading the card in for a reward, or just keeping the card for yourself. You'll always know which reward you'll get ahead of time, so you can make an informed decision right from the start of each map. Finally, the loot system also ties into the limited online feature. Whenever you die, the enemy that killed you will take 1 of your most valuable cards off of you. That enemy can then appear in another player's game. If you come across one of those beasties and reclaim someone's card, you'll have the option to either keep the card for yourself or return it to its owner so they can use it in their next run. Return the card and a hologram of the player will appear and fight alongside you, which helped me out of a tight spot more than once. If you choose to keep the card, the same hologram will show up but try to murder you instead. Like every aspect of Loot Rascals, you have a choice to make. Every choice could mean a difference between making it to the next stage and getting kicked back to square one. Since roguelites have become all the rage recently, I should mention that there is no meta progression in this game. There are no permanent upgrades and unlocks for you to keep across runs. I know from experience that those unlockables make deaths less painful, so if you prefer to have permanent power-ups making repeat playthroughs easier, that might be a turn-off. For Loot Rascals though, I don't mind it at all. Your odds of making it to the end depend entirely on your own skill and knowledge, and luck, of course. It is a roguelike. I like Loot Rascals a lot. If you like min-maxing, brutal difficulty, and turn-based tactics, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this one. Loot Rascals is available on PC and PS4. If you purchased the bundle for racial equality and justice on itch.io, you already own it. I recommend playing through the itch launcher to make use of the online features. Don't overlook Loot Rascals. Do you know of any games that didn't get the attention they deserve? Are you an indie developer and would like me to review your game in time for launch? Hit me up on Twitter or in the comments. If I like the game, I'll feature it. And, you know, if you could share this review with people you think might like Loot Rascals, that'd be great. And subscribe. Goodbye. No? No yelling? Oh, okay, is that how it works? Only have to say, okay. Goodbye, gamers.